Well, welcome to another edition of the Shoulder Tap Podcast. I thank you for joining us today. My name is Mike.Sandlin. I'm your host. And today we have my good friend Rex.Tignor with us. And I've known Rex for a number of years. Rex works with Iron Sharpens Iron. He's their training guy, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff they do in that area. But he's speaks. I'll get tongue-tied here in a minute. But he has spoken at numerous Iron Sharpens Iron conferences, and from a standpoint as a keynote speaker and even as a breakout session, plus numerous other events also. And it's always good to have Rex on. He's a wealth of knowledge. And I just thank you, Rex. Appreciate you coming on with me.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. Hey, it's good to be with you. Good to be with the guys, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great. Well, let's just jump right into it. We're seeing a lot of things going on with men right now. What is the biggest issue you see happening with men right now?
Isolation. Ever since they just seem to just get into isolation and stay there, and nothing good happens in isolation. It is just nothing good. And it's funny is because what we're seeing is as soon as guys break the doors of a real men's group, and when I say real, I hate to say this, Mike, but we've got guys that think they're running men's groups that are not really having much success, and then we've got guys that are running some amazing men's groups. And
yeah,
the difference is one just provides a bunch of head knowledge, and one provides value.
Yeah.
And when you can get guys into a circle and into a huddle, and they're gaining tools for everyday life, marriage, life, anger, how to deal with anger, conflict, job loss, jobs, things like that. There's something that happens in that group, and what we're seeing is when groups really start on time, finish on time, provide value, they're just having some tremendous success.
Oh, yeah.
But the guys that just walk in a room and have a start time and they never start, it's always 10 or 15 minutes late. They always run 30, 45 minutes over. Typically, you only have your little 3 or 4 guys that continue to come back week after week.
Yeah. It's interesting you're talking about that, because I was invited up to a local church. Well, I say local. It was about an hour or more away from where I'm at, but I was invited up to their church because they were having a men's breakfast one Saturday, and they said it started at 8:00, and so I arrived about 7:45 or something of that nature, and guys were coming in, but they didn't do anything until 8:45. That's when they started.
Yep.
And they really didn't. That's when they started serving breakfast, and then they didn't even start their program until an hour later. And it was just sad to me and then I find out they only do this like once a year, and so
well, now you know why.
Yeah.
Now you know why they only do it once a year, because that's about all that anybody can stand.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're doing this. We have found that when you can get a guy in at 8:30 and you can get him out at 10:30, for some reason 10:30 is like a magical number on a Saturday morning. And so, because a guy divides his day into 3 parts, it's the morning, the midday, and the afternoon.
Right.
Well, the morning, his kids are asleep, his kids are playing, his kids are doing something. So he'll give you that little window in the morning so he can be free for the midday and the afternoon. And so we started doing this thing called plug and play. And so we have the schedule. It's Saturday night, Friday night, we come in and we'd like to do a little men's ministry training or something for the churches. Pizza, 6:30 to 8:00, it's over. Saturday morning, we go back and do a breakfast with them, and we start at 8:30, and we have the schedule all set up, and all we do is hand you the schedule, and we just run that schedule. And what we're seeing is it is amazing. We just did one in Robert's church down in Rock Hill. Most of you guys, he comes to all the Iron Sharpens Iron and travels with a bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did one with him 2 weeks ago, and it was just amazing. I mean, we had
Mm-hmm.
the room was full of guys. It was just and it's just when you tell a guy 10:30, we're done. You're going to be out of here, and you hold to it. Guys just they show up, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That is so important to guys if you just about starting on time and ending on time. That is very important to them.
yep,
And it's interesting how it really affects how attentive they will be to attending something like that.
yeah, yeah,
It's an interact.
yep,
So tell me about some of the training stuff you're doing. I mean,
yeah. So
you got some good stuff going on. I know y'all started doing something last fall for men's ministry leadership. You got a certification program,
yep,
so to speak, and I know you're going to continue that this coming fall. And
yes.
so tell us a little bit about that.
So what we've found is there's nothing out there that is certifying men to become men's ministry certified leaders in their
Right,
churches or in their
right.
areas or in their communities. And so what we did is we took some of the trainings that we do, which we're still doing it. If you want to have a training in your church, holler and we'll come down and do it, you know. But what we're doing is we open it up to 40 guys. It starts June 1st. Registration starts June 1st at noon, and you register to the first 40 guys. They get to come on. We start September the 11th, and it goes for 12 weeks. And it's on Thursday nights. And what we do is every night we teach a different part of men's ministry. And a different part of it. We talk about how to build groups. We talk about how to build your team. We talk about how to build your calendar, how to really run a successful event. We talk
How long's each one of those sessions last each Thursday night?
each one's an hour. We go
Okay,
8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern time, and
okay,
so we teach for about 40 minutes. We do Q&A, and then typically Thomas and I will hang around for about another 15 minutes after everybody. We release everybody at 9 o'clock,
right.
and then we'll hang around for a couple of minutes, a few minutes extra, just in case somebody has a question that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to make public, and
Right.
and so, but what we're really seeing is I mean, the guys. We just did a video last Thursday night with a selected group of these guys, and let them talk about what they gained from this, and some of those conversations were just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's not everywhere. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, if you do the assignments that you're assigned, which nothing is really overly long, you know what I'm saying? We keep
Right.
all the assignments because we know everybody's got a busy life, but we want to make sure that you're hearing what's being taught.
Mm-hmm.
So we give you an assignment and you just send it in to us, and then after that you get your certification letter, and after the letter, then this year all the guys, we said, what do you want? You want a plaque or a shirt? And they all chose shirts, so everybody's getting a nice button down Iron Sharpens Iron shirt that we'll all be wearing this year anyhow. So
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, for the information and for the amount of money that it cost, it's we just hear that it's invaluable.
That's
So
super.
June 1st, 12 noon, registration goes up. It's only open to 40 guys.
Well,
So
I can tell you what, I encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast to give serious consideration to
yeah,
doing this training that they do. Because that's one of the things that, both of us have seen over the years is that there's really nothing out there
no,
to help mentor and train men how to be men's leaders in their churches. I
yep,
mean, you think sometimes you hear people going to seminary and say, "Oh, he went to seminary. He knows how to lead men." Well, they don't teach them how to lead men there.
they don't
They
teach you.
teach them
Yeah,
they
yeah,
teach them how to be pastors, maybe, but they don't teach them how to lead men. And when the sad thing about it is, a lot of pastors don't even know how to lead men. I'm not
and,
taking away from pastors. It's
yeah.
just that they're
And I
just
mean,
not taught how to do it. You know.
and let's face it too, Mike. Is I mean, in these days and time, a pastor has his handful
Oh
with
yes.
with the people in the church, he doesn't have time to really focus on a focused group like women's ministry and men's ministry and things. And that's why
Yeah.
that's why men's ministry guys are so important. It's funny because out of the last certification that we did, we've had two guys get brought on staff in their churches
Oh, wow. That's
because,
great.
yeah, because they've
Yeah.
got this piece of paper and the pastor comes to them and goes, now they're only on to a limited part time schedule, but
Yeah.
hey, it's better than most are happening.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you know,
it's sad that, for most churches, men is one of the most neglected people groups in their
Yep,
churches. And
yep,
most of the time, the reason why is because they don't know how to reach them. They don't know how to engage them.
right, right. And the we used to think that men's ministry happened in pockets, big pockets, but
Yeah.
men's ministry now is happening in threes to fives.
Hmm.
And those threes and fives are getting together, and there's another pocket of threes and fives, and there's another pocket of threes and
Right.
fives, and then
Right.
all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, let's do something together." So they do
Yeah.
this event, and
Yeah.
and so that's what we're really seeing with men's ministry this year is men's ministry. They may be doing 3 or 4 breakfasts a year. They may do a men's retreat. I tell every church, I said, you need to do some sort of a half a day Saturday conference in your church for your men. You need to do a retreat. You need to do something that says, men, this is for you.
Yeah. And you
You
need to
know,
do it. You need to do something. Nothing, it doesn't have to be big, but you need to do
nope.
something about every month, as
Yeah.
far as a group is concerned.
Yeah.
But
Go to
to
a ball
stay
game,
playing.
you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Go
Yeah.
to a ball game or something to
Go-
that fact.
yeah.
But you need to do
Have a
something to keep.
cookout, cornhole tournament,
Oh yeah.
have just
Oh yeah.
something to get your guys together, just to keep the guys in growing together and keeping this thing moving.
Yeah. Well, the other
So
aspect of it is depending on your church and how large your church is and how many men you have in your church, you got to understand the men in your church. You can't
yep,
just do one type event like a golf outing.
yep,
We're going to
yep,
have this big annual golf outing. Well,
yep.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But the only guys you're going to reach is your golfers. The guys that
Mike, yeah, one of the funny talking about that, I mean, you hit something that's so true. I mean, back years ago when I was at another church that I was at, I've now moved and relocated, but the last church we were at, we did this thing on Saturday mornings once a month called No Agenda Breakfast. It was a
mm,
breakfast where the guys came into a restaurant. They gave us a back room at 8 o'clock. We would order at soon as everybody had ordered. We prayed over the food, and everybody sit around and just talked. At
yeah,
8 and at 9 o'clock, we closed in prayer, and everybody went their own ways. Or nine
yeah,
fifteen, we usually went to
yeah,
nine
yeah,
fifteen by the time we
yeah,
got the order.
yeah.
But what we were seeing is the pastor, he goes, this will just never work. And I go, hey, I learned a long time ago is I never commit to anything but about 3 to 4 weeks, because if it don't work, I want to be able to kill it. I
Hmm.
learned a long time ago is if the horse is dead, dismount. You know,
Hmm.
and we've got some men's ministries that are going on for 75 years, and it's still no different than it was on day one.
Yeah.
And so we did this thing, and then after about a month or so, what we saw is we would hear these motorcycles pull up. We would see guys coming in that were dressed to go play golf. We would see guys coming in with hunting gear or fishing
Hmm.
gear or whatever else. We'd see
Hmm.
bass boats sitting in the parking lot.
Hmm.
And what these guys had done is they had found each other,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
they would come and say, "Hey, man, let's go to this breakfast. We do breakfast, and then we go do whatever we do, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
it was so cool. But here's the thing is I was gone one week, and I told a guy that was leading it for me, I says, look, do not let anybody come to you and go, God gave me a word for this group this morning. Okay?
Hmm.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Do not let him do that. Well, he didn't have the guts to tell him no, so he spouted, and when he spouted, the next month, only a third of the guys showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
you gotta do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no agenda breakfast. I had a guy sit across from me, Mike, and he told me, he says, "Hey," he said, "if I'd known all we were going to do is sit here and eat and talk, I could have, I would have done something else." And I looked at him and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." I said, "When was the last time you sat across a table from a guy for an hour and had meaningful conversation?"
Mm,
He never missed another one,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah.
it's just so funny is like you said, is guys that do things will find other guys that do the same thing if you put them in situations where they can connect.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do that. I have a group of guys I do that once a month with. This we don't call it a no agenda breakfast, but I might change that and call it
Yeah,
that because that's exactly what we do. We
yeah,
get together, we order our food. They have a table, and the interesting thing is we've been doing this long enough. The staff knows us, and they know who
yep,
we are,
yep,
and and if they're struggling with an issue. Uh, they know we're a praying bunch of men too. We don't
yep,
necessarily sit there and pray the whole time. We don't do that, but they know we're a praying bunch of men, and they'll share with us what's going on in their lives. And so it's a witness that we're just a group of guys who like to get
yep.
together, have breakfast together, joy fellowship, and then we go on about our way. And
We Thursday mornings, I do the same thing Thursday
yeah,
mornings, and it's so
yeah,
funny is all of a sudden you see one of the peep servers will come over and they'll pull up a table, they'll pull up a chair,
yeah.
because I mean at 6 o'clock in the morning, I mean not too many. You're not overly busy at 6.
No.
7
And the
is
funny,
another story.
yeah, and the funny thing is, the guys that I meet with, we've been doing this for several years now, and started a few years ago. The Christmas or the December meeting, Christmas, they always want to get together and give the staff a card and uh,
Mhm,
collect some money in addition to their tips and give
mhm.
them that as their Christmas present for being such great hosts for us while we're there. So that's a ministry in itself if you think about it.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. I mean, isn't that what
uh,
we're supposed to be doing? I mean, last I
yeah,
read, I mean, you know,
exactly right, exactly right. So,
yep,
but so that's good. Um,
yep.
Tell us about your podcast. I know you do. What is it? Every
Yeah.
Thursday night you do a podcast. Is that what it
No,
is?
we do it every Tuesday morning, and then it
Tuesday.
simply comes out sometime throughout the week. Typically by Thursday,
Yeah.
we try to have them up. But we're doing this Iron Sharpens Iron Building Men podcast, and it's
Mhm.
up on Spotify, Apple, where it's pretty much everywhere now.
Is it
And
just audio or is it audio and video?
we do audio and video. The
Okay.
audio is up, and then we put all the video up on YouTube, and so that way they can go up and get it under Building Men podcast as well. Last podcast we had David Mills Goose from
Mhm.
Men's
Mhm.
Alliance, which is going to be a
Mhm.
sponsor for your conference this year down there.
Mhm.
But it's really cool. You can check out men'salliance.com. But we had him on, and great conversation. But we just have conversations with just different guys that are ministry leaders that are. We have a new one that's coming up. I don't know if many people haven't heard of him yet, but I'm sure they will. But it's called Dad Awesome.
Mm.
So we're doing his this week, and it's a new ministry. It's a young guy that he has just decided that he wanted to be an awesome dad, and he has learned how to be an awesome dad, and now he's passing on what he has learned to other people so they can be awesome dads as well,
How
especially to
about
the
that?
younger kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
so
so important. So
yep,
important.
so we're doing that one tomorrow morning, and that'll be up sometime Thursday, um, and like I said, it's just a lot of fun. We just kind of banter back and forth, and just kind of ask questions and get people thinking and things like that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but it's just Iron Sharpens Iron Building Men podcast, and you can find it up on YouTube anywhere like that. But
That's
yeah,
super.
and then we're gonna do the summer series again. The summer series, it's just one night a week where we talk about different topics. We bring in different speakers. It's on Zoom. There'll be a place where you can sign up for that, but we'll do that over the summer. Just guys love it. I mean, we have one of the things that we see is we're having hundreds of guys sign up for that, and we typically get about 50 on the screen. And
Yeah.
what they found out now is that what they can do is they can get the video. We'll send them the
Hmm.
next morning if they sign up. We send them the video the next morning or whenever we get it, and they go use it in their small groups over the summer.
Mm.
And so that's what. So they're like I said, we get hundreds of guys signed up, but it's only about 40 to 50 on the screen, which makes great
Yeah.
conversation. But
Sure.
all we do too then is once the recording, once the teaching is over, we stop the recording, and so that way the recording is only about 25 to about 30 minutes long, and it's just a great thing. You can just go and dump it into your men's group and play it over the summer, where guys are in and out all the time, and you don't have to put a lot of work into it. So
Yeah. You made
yeah,
an interesting point there too. That I so many churches I think fail a lot of times, and that is the fact that they don't do anything during the summertime with their men,
yeah,
and it is so important to not uh, stop, or I should say,
mhm,
don't stop just because it's become summer. Yeah,
right,
there's going to be probably fewer guys, but you got a momentum there. Keep that momentum going. Don't
yeah,
stop, because if
yeah.
you stop, you've got to restart that momentum, and that
I
takes
tell
that takes a few months.
Yeah, I tell churches all the time. I said, go to videos. Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good video podcasts. There's a lot of good
yeah,
videos out on Right Now Media. You got Better Man. You got all kinds of things.
no
Go to
doubt.
a video based series for the summer because it's really not much work, but
Yeah,
it is still very meaningful to your men. And
yeah,
that's the part that you really want to do is when these guys come in, you don't, nobody, let's face it, in the summer, everybody's busy. Everybody's
yeah,
got a lot of things
yeah,
going on, but you still want to give the guys a good value.
yeah,
And there's a lot of good videos, these podcasts you're doing, this podcast we're doing. There's other podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts. Just find one that is good, that fits your men, that is in a window to where you can really use it. That's why we cut hours off about 25, 30 minutes. We don't
hmm,
go any longer. And it's just a great little video clip to where, you can play it in your play it in your men's group, on a Wednesday
yeah,
night while the kids are meeting.
yeah. Yep, and these podcasts that you're listening to here with the Shoulder Tap podcast,
Yep.
they're on YouTube. You can pull them
Yep.
in and use these things because we have a lot of good speakers on here, like
Absolutely.
yourself, Ken Evans with Manhood
Yep.
Journey. We just had him last week. We have
Yep.
Rod Handley with Character That Counts, and just numerous group of guys that we do, and they provide valuable information
Yep.
you guys can
Yep.
take away.
Yep.
And speaking of,
Just
go ahead.
watch that guy Thomas McMillan though. You got to watch
Uh,
him. Okay. Yeah.
well, I
After
wish you had said that, because Thomas McMillan is going to be one of the speakers at our conference coming up here in
Yeah.
Wilmington in a few weeks. But he's a
Yeah.
he's a he's a he's a sharp dude. I'll tell
Thomas,
you.
my buddy. Yeah, he's my buddy. Yeah. So we do a
But
lot of stuff together because we just brought him on staff with Iron Sharpens Iron too. So
yeah,
we do a lot of stuff together. Yep.
he's a good guy. He's a sharp
Yep.
guy. I like Thomas.
Yep.
But
Yep.
anyway, well, you mentioned a minute ago, keep things around 20 to 25 minutes, and we're coming up
Yep.
on our time, big boy. And so I want I always give my guests, a few minutes just to share what's on their hearts that they want to impart onto the men, to maybe encourage them as they go forth and in leading their men in their respective churches, or encouraging men in their
Yep.
respective churches. So, floor is yours for the next
All
few minutes.
right. Hey guys, I want to really talk to you just a couple minutes about something that we're really seeing that we need to really focus on is the word relationships now has become kind of like a bad word, with all this trans and all this other stuff. I'm not going to get political, but with all of this other stuff. And what we're finding is when we start talking to the men about getting together, we've started using the word connect. Guys understand what it means to connect. And one of the things we're seeing is we're trying to move men from cliques from circles. We're trying to move them into this thing we're calling huddles.
Mm,
Okay, think about a huddle. All right, football team gets out on that huddle. Okay. You got one guy that's calling the play. That's the coach of the huddle. Okay. So he's the quarterback. He's the one that knows what's happening. Okay. So they run the play. Everybody is on the same page. Think about what it would look like if you found 3 or 5 guys and you cut, and that became your huddle. You got on the same page. You did a devotional together once a week. You did something together once a week to where y'all could really connect. So now you've run the play. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you look around on the ground, you got your offensive lineman laying on the ground. You got a wide receiver laying on the ground. Sometimes a quarterback gets hit. What happens? The guy reaches down, extends a hand, and he helps him up. See, that's what happens when men are in huddles. When a guy gets hit, he gets a hand, he gets to extend a hand, and he gets the hand up. You
Mhm.
know, too many times we're giving men handouts instead of giving men hand ups.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, think about a baseball team. Okay, coach comes out and takes a pitcher. What do you see? You see all the infielders come around that pitcher. They do 2 things there. I played ball long enough. Is they encourage you because you did a great job, and the second one is they're encouraging the new guy that's coming in. You
Mhm.
know, every sport has a huddle except for golf. I haven't figured that one out yet, but I'll figure that out one day. But it's so cool is that when men get in huddles, there's something that happens. I know Mike has cards to where they're simply, you get 3 to 5 guys together and there's 5 questions on the back, and you just simply put them in your wallet and you just meet at a restaurant. You do a devotion. Just send them. Mensdevotionals.com is amazing. They're so good. But
Mhm.
what you do is you just pull that card out and you just go through and let each guy answer those questions on the back of the card. Guys, we don't have to make this rocket science. We just have to do it and
Yep.
find simple ways where we can get men into huddles, to move them from cliques, to get them out of their circles, to get them to where they're all playing in the game together.
Mhm.
You know? So I just really just want to challenge the guys on here is to think about their group as a huddle and not as a circle.
Yeah,
You
amen.
know, and so and two is think about ways you can get men to connect. When you talk to a man about building a relationship, sounds a little weird sometimes, but when you can get a man to connect, that's those golfing buddies, that's those fishing buddies, that's those motorcycle riding buddies, that's those guys that fix things, do things. But man, just think about ways to get your guys in huddles. So that's
Amen.
kind of my, you know,
Amen. That's a good word. I mean, I couldn't help but think of the scripture that comes out of Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10, where it talks
oh
about
yeah,
two is better than one.
yeah,
They bring great reward for their labor. And if one falls down, there's another there to lift him up.
that's right.
Pity the man who doesn't have somebody to lift him up. And that's what
Amen.
those relationships are all about, is to be there
Amen.
to help each other out. Thanks, Rex. I appreciate
Yeah,
that word.
yes,
That's a
sir.
good encouraging word that you shared.
Yep.
And appreciate everything you said today. I hope the guys will take it to heart and
Yep.
be able to work with their men and be able to minister to
Hey, see you in Wilmington, man. We'll be there. Looking
them.
forward to it. Yep. March
Amen.
1st, half a day too. I mean, man, you get to come to a conference and you get to go out to eat lunch with your huddle.
Yeah,
Well, just think about it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. What a great time.
Yep.
Great time.
Yep. So,
Well, guys, I appreciate you listening to the Shoulder Tap podcast today with our guest, Rex.Tignor. But I hope you will join us again on the next Shoulder Tap podcast.